Hello there, and welcome to another, I can't really call it a math tutorial, but welcome to another math solving video recorded by not a potato, but basically a donut. So, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to make logical sense. There are many things in this world that don't make sense. Well, anyways, let's get started. First, I'm going to go over this one problem today. I'm going to start off with a rational equation problem. So, using my textbook here, once again, it's the Algebra Trigonometry textbook that I used in the last video by Sullivan. Not sure what the first name is. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be Sullivan or, something blah 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 Sullivan. But anyways, let's get started. So, once again, yes, my pen is dying, just like last time. Well, not a pen, marker. Anyways, so we have the equation 3 over x minus 2 equals 1 over x minus 1 plus 7 over x minus 1 times x plus, no, minus 2. Minus 2. Sorry about that. So if you guys can see that there. Sorry, it's kind of vertical. It's just like vertical Japanese writing. Well, anyways, let's move on. So anyways, we notice that we have 3 different denominators to both sides of this equation. We have x minus 2 as one denominator, x minus 1 in another denominator, and x minus 1 times x minus 2 in basically the third denominator, denoted over here in this far corner that you can't really see for now. Anyways, you might be asking, well, how do we solve this kind of equation? Well, the first things first, we need what's called a common denominator, or a CD. Just like one of those old CDs that people used to have. People used to buy at the stores all the time, but now people just, I got a CD when you can just torrent stuff online. I'm not recommending torrenting, but, just saying people can't torrent things for free. Don't do it. Anyways, so a CD, otherwise known as a common denominator, what does that mean? It just basically means that, hey, we have these inequalities, well, not inequalities, but these fractions that we want to add together, and we need to find a way to combine these things, because I can't just say that 1 over x minus 1, well, I can't just say that 1 over x minus 1 plus x minus 1 times x minus 2 equals 1 plus 7 all divided by x minus 1 plus x minus 1 times x minus 2. Math doesn't work like that. I wish it did, because then it would just make everything a lot easier for me. But anyways, so we notice that our third fraction here is a combination of our first fraction's denominator and our second fraction's denominator. So what we want to end up doing is multiplying, we see that the common denominator is going to be x minus 1 times x minus 2, just based off of the third one, because it is a combination of the first 2 denominators. So in order to do this, we want to multiply the left-hand side of this equation by x minus 1 over x minus 1. If you multiply x minus 1 over x minus 1, it's just saying the same thing as multiplying by 1. And pretty soon, some of you guys might catch on to this, but it's going to allow us to combine all of these fractions together. So, and, what does that mean for the second denominator, or for the second fraction? Well, it just means since it's lacking in x minus 2, we multiply 1 times x minus 2, and then the denominator is x minus 1 times x minus 2. Once again, we're multiplying by 1. You'll find out in higher levels of mathematics that multiplying by 1 can be a very powerful tool. Very powerful and essential tool in order to solve other stuff. Anyways, so we end up having the equation 3 times x minus 1 over x minus 2 times x minus 1 equals 1 times x minus 2 over x minus 1 times x minus 2 plus 7 over x minus 1 times x minus 2. Now, you might be saying, this looks just a lot more complicated. Well, sit back in that chair right there, and I'll show you how it's done. Kind of. Anyways, first, the left-hand side, let's distribute these things. So, 3x minus 3 over x minus 2 times x minus 1 equals x minus, distribute 1 into x minus 2, and you just get x minus 2 times x minus 1 times x minus 2 plus 7 x minus 1 times x minus 2. And I'm not sure if you guys have caught on yet, but anyways, I'm going to subtract the left-hand side of the equation, the 3x minus 3 over x minus 2 times x minus 1. I'm going to subtract that from both sides of the equation so that I can set this up to 0 equals x minus 2 over x minus 1 times x minus 2 plus 7 x minus 1 times x minus 2 minus 3x minus 3. This ends up subtracting that equation. I can just say minus this whole thing, x minus 1 times x minus 2. So this is what we end up down here. We end up with basically 0 equals yada 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 yada. So I'm just gonna erase the top stuff here, because I'm pretty sure you guys already know what that stuff is. And I'm going to progress further into this equation here. So we end up getting 0 equals, and since we do have a common denominator here, we can just combine x minus 2 plus 7 minus, in parentheses, 3x minus 3 all over x minus 1 times x minus 2, because they all share that denominator. So x minus 1 times x minus 2, that's the denominator. We end up getting x minus 2 plus 7 minus 3x minus 3. Of course, that stuff is in parentheses right there. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. And you might be asking me, why do I have it in parentheses? Can I just ignore the parentheses? No, the parentheses are very crucial because we subtracted this portion from both sides of our equality. So, what does that mean? Minus in parentheses 3x minus 3. It just means that we basically have a minus 1 that needs to be distributed into the parentheses. So, realistically, we can get rid of the parentheses as long as we distribute that minus 1 within the parentheses. So we get minus 3x plus 3 for that. And from this portion here, it looks like we can actually start combining like terms together. And when I say like terms, I mean we can combine the x components, or not the x components, sorry about that, the x variables and the regular integers together. So we end up getting 0 equals, let's just say x minus 1, stop over x minus 1 times x minus 2. So x minus 3x, that just ends up becoming minus 2x. And then we have minus 2 plus 7 plus 3. Well, 7 plus 3, that just becomes 10. And then you're subtracting 2 away from there, so we get plus 8. Now, looking at this, we see that, well, this doesn't look any different from what we had. Well, this, actually, believe it or not, this is not This makes it a whole lot easier to do our math now. What is 0 times x minus 1? Well, that just ends up becoming 0, because 0 times anything is just 0, because, you know, say you have an apple, right? And you want to figure out, you know, you multiply that by 1, you multiply your apple by 1, and you just have one apple. You multiply your apple by 2, and all of a sudden you have 2 more apples, or you have 2 apples, you know, because you multiply by 1. But if you multiply something by 0, it's like saying, okay, so I have this guitar, but then again, I don't have the guitar. It's hard for me to explain this because I'm not an instructor, I'm just a student. Anyway, so what I noticed from this property, or what you have to notice, is we can basically multiply the denominator on both sides to get rid of the denominator, and we just end up getting 0 equals minus 2x plus 8. Now, since we have this, we're on the home stretch here, so please stay tuned in. You know, don't fall asleep. Even though I'm very monotone, you know, I can say that I am. I'm very sorry for this. But, so we get 0 equals minus 2x plus 8. Well, what we notice is we can add 2x to both sides so that we can have a positive 2x on one side rather than a negative. So we end up getting 2x equals 8, right? And then what we end up doing is we want to solve for x, so we divide both sides of this equation by 2, and as I said before, 2x divided by 2, the 2's end up killing each other, so, you know, that just becomes x. And then 8 divided by 2, how many times does 2 go into 8? Well, from our basic multiplication tables that, I don't know, you should have them, but I don't have them. But 8 divided by 2 just equals 4, because, you know, 2 times 4, you know, if you have 2 and then you add 2 4 times, you know, just like 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, that just equals 8. You know, that's just the same thing as multiplying it by 4. We end up getting the resultant x equals 4. And I hope to see you guys in the next video. Sorry about the monotone, and we'll try to get a better, you know, camera eventually.